We're rewinding the clock 15 years to one of the most controversial and, let's be honest, infuriating moments in modern Irish history.
We feel like being mugged since the day we got here.
Really don't think he meant it.
I believe, of course, it's embarrassing.
French can hang their heads in shame.
Well, I didn't do it on purpose, so sorry.
They want the sympathy one, the usual carry-on. Boring.
It shattered dreams, ignited a global outrage, and caused further scandals years down the line.
Now, what was that 5 million? I heard you talk the other day. We came to an agreement. You've used the figure there. Well done to you.
Well, it's out there.
France versus Ireland. The Stade de France. November 2009. It will always be remembered for one thing and one thing only.
Henry! Oh, it's in the net! It's a goal!
The Irish players are appealing for handball here. It's actually hit him on the arm and then he's controlling with his hand. Just watch it from this angle.
Yes. Oh, that's a handball, no question about it. Absolutely no question about it. And France have stolen the lead on aggregate.
I'm Fionn Sheehan, and today on the Indo Daily, I'm joined by Kevin Doyle, not the former Irish number 9, but the group head of news at Media House Ireland, and Dan McDonnell, football correspondent with the Irish Independent, to discuss a night that will live in infamy for Irish sporting fans, and to revel in the hysteria and moral outrage that Thierry Henry's Le Hand of God caused 15 years on. Kevin Doyle, you're still a very young man, but take me back in history to 15 years ago. And you were a young reporter at the time. There was a big event going on in Paris and you were sent.
Yeah, when I started working properly as a journalist, I started in the Evening Herald, and one of the jobs I got, which is what made me think journalism was great, was I used to get sent to all these big events happening abroad. So it might be a Heineken Cup final if Leinster were playing, or a big Ireland international match, or as it was in this case, an assignment to Paris for Ireland versus France World Cup playoff 2009. And weirdly, it might sound strange to listeners now, we had hope. This was the era of Trapattoni. The French were not the powerhouse that they were, and there was already so much controversy and excitement about this game. We don't really get this about soccer matches now, but this game felt like everything for those few days around it. Ireland had lost 1-0 at home in Dublin, in Croke Park, believe it or not. And yes, they lost the home leg. There was still this belief that maybe we could go there. And the fans before the match, I remember talking about, some were arguing we should nick a goal early and try hang on to get to penalties. And other fans were like, no, we should nick a goal in the last 10 minutes when they haven't time to come back at us. But this was the build-up, and the French had given the Irish around 10 or 12,000 tickets. But I'm pretty sure there was about 20,000 Irish fans over in Paris for the game. Tickets were selling for hundreds of euro on eBay and other places. And I was over there among the fans. I know you're going to talk to Dan, who went to talk, and he would have talked to the experts and the players and the management. I was talking to the real experts on the bar stools.
Yes. Dan, can you talk to me about the two teams, the lineups? What sort of players were we looking at that era?
Yeah, well, I suppose from an Irish perspective, you had a generation in its prime. It's only in hindsight you probably realise that you've got Robbie Keane, you've got Damien Duff, you've got John O'Shea. It actually was probably a French team on its last legs, but they were a mighty side. And one of the controversies around this is that FIFA made a decision to seed the draw for the playoff. There was almost a suspicion from the start, without getting too much down the conspiracy theory road, but there was a feeling that they were very keen for France and their TV market to be in the World Cup, and as a result they seeded the playoff draw, and that's why Ireland ended up probably, Ireland always would be on the wrong side of that draw.
We also had a top class manager.
Yeah, no, look, that's it. Ireland definitely weren't minnows at that time. This was definitely an era where the FAI, the sort of the early stages of John Delaney, you got the Dennis O'Brien support. They went and got Trapattoni, and yeah, Ireland were very good in his first 2 years. Very good. They drew with Italy twice in regular qualifying, and could arguably, with a sort of a bounce of the ball here and there, could maybe have topped that group and qualified automatically. I recall a degree of people being very downbeat after their first leg, but there was almost a sense of, well, look, there's nothing to lose here now. There was a sense going to France, well, this is it, it's 90 minutes, it's do or die.
So what was the atmosphere like then, Kevin, amongst the travelling supporters?
In the build-up to the game, Dan is right, there was this sense of, look, it's a roll of the dice, and I suspect a lot of people who were there, the trip to South Africa, if we got to the World Cup, might have been a stretch too far, so there was a kind of a carnival, festival feeling around it. When we got into the stadium, or in and around the stadium, like, it was very clear that, like, the pints were €10. Like, this is 15 years ago, right? Pints were €10 at the time, so that seems expensive now. So you can imagine how expensive that was back in time.
Temple bar prices, as we'd call them nowadays.
Yeah, it was €20 for a green beret, I remember. Now, I didn't buy one, but they were rather fetching. So there was that, but that's what you were charged if you were an Irish fan to get something. The Irish fans outsung the French by some distance, and I was actually sitting among the French. The ticket I had got was on the French side. The Irish fans were across the pitch from me, if you like. So you could hear them through the whole game. And even though I was sitting in among the tens of thousands of the French, there was nothing from them except boos from time to time. In the stadium, only one team won, albeit on the scoreboard it went a different way by the end of the night.
Yeah, and Dan, it was a throwback to the great days of Damien Duff and Robbie Keane. And actually, in normal time, we won.
Yeah, that's probably the best Irish performance I think I've seen in the flesh. I mean, Ireland won and probably should have won. I mean, this was the day of the away goals as well. You know, Ireland were 1-0 up with Robbie Keane, a brilliant team goal.
Duff gets it back, and that's going to be the goal, and it is. Ireland score the 1-0, and it's Robbie Keane.
And they missed a couple of really big chances. You know, it was so close. A brilliant 90-minute performance, but ultimately it sent the game to extra time.
We're gone to extra time, and there's still hope and expectation. I'm going to ask both of you for what your recollection is. We're 13 minutes into extra time. From where you're sitting, Kevin, what happened?
So I'm high up in the stands. The ball comes forward. The Irish defence, I mean, Dan can speak better to the soccer tactics, but it wasn't perfect. Legs were probably starting to get tired at that stage. And France scored.
Oh, it's in the net. It's a goal.
And I can't tell you that I have any graphic image of that goal as I sat in the stand. Obviously, I've seen it 100 times since. But the French went absolutely bonkers. And then there was a ripple. It took maybe a minute or two. There was kind of this ripple of, there's a handball. And all the players on the pitch were running, complaining to the referee, going, there's a handball.
But there's the handball by Henry.
And by the way, not just once, George, but twice.
And this is where your Irish bias come in, because I can't honestly say from the distance that I could see the handball, and I don't remember them playing it back on big screens or anything in slow motion like you might get with VAR nowadays. But instantly I decided there was a handball, and then the text messages from home started to come to confirm my bias that there was a handball, and I suppose the night rolled on from there.
Definitely a blatant double handball by Henry. Handles it there, and then he handles it again.
I mean, he almost catches it.
He does, yeah.
He does.